All right, Kudash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayath, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. Yah, He, Va, He. Those four syllables could be said as a mantra and used as a divine frequency. The first Yah, the Father who art in heaven, divine masculine, architect of the universe. He being a divine feminine, Mother Nature, the womb of the earth, where mankind was created. Um, Va being the Elohim's creation in the book of Genesis, or the generations of Isis, said, in the beginning, Elohim said, let us create them as our image to be a light and a reflection. Va is the creation. Back to He would be Anna Chokma, mother wisdom, a divine feminine attribute, of the nature of things. As above, so below, the macro prosophis above and the micro prosophis below, because we are the microorganisms and the host of the Elohim. All right, today. All right, I'm going back into this book. This is called Supreme Mathematics, African Mayat Magic. And what it does, it just shows you the origins of creation and how all of these things that we consider as deities, all they are is, intents and ideology used in formulas to, allow us to understand the nature of things, the science of nature. Some people call it magic, but it all goes in hand, And in this book it shows you how they use mathematical equations to line all their architectural engineering structures using mathematics to align the things that were below to the things above, to the celestial pyramids, how they use mathematics to calculate a woman's menstrual cycle. This book right here, Supreme Mathematics, African Mayat Magic. Over here, I got the 9 Ether book. This is written by the same people. This goes into all the ethers, the gases, the elements, the breath of life, and how everything coexists. Right here, this is the Earth grids, the secret patterns of Gaia's secret sites, and how all, which we would know as the ley lines, how all of these energy fields are connected on this planet, which we know as Earth. It's also called in some cultures Ha Adam. Adam coming from the esoteric, the atoms and protons, made up in your body, Some people call it Planet Kai or Nunakai because, the Anunnaki creation story, which coincides with the Bible and, creating them in their image, as well as that's where you get Genesis from. Genesis as the generations of Isis, it goes back to Netar or Planet Nine. Some people, and you'll see Planet Nine is also considered as Planet X, or Sirius X star system constellation. This is where 9 ether, woolly hair beings originate from. But the story gets so deep that the truth is stranger than fiction. But if you really follow the consistency and patterns, you can figure these things out. I want to get just basic into the mathematics of things today. Right here we got a picture, but I'm gonna go into reading this. Let's get it right here. Let's go right here. I'm just gonna read it and hold this up. Uh, just just as it has been shown that the word mathematic comes from the African deity Tahuti, it can be shown, and these are all metaphors. Just listen and you'll catch on. Deity Tahuti. It can be shown that the word number, which is essential to mathematics, comes from Tahuti's wife, an African goddess, Mayat. The etymology of the word number is from the Greek word meaning to divide, to distribute, elute, or deal out. The Greek word nemin is the root of the word nemesis. And when I was just telling you about Nibiru, some people call it Nemesis, some people call it Planet X, some people call it Planet Nine, some people call it Sirius X, but this is talking about a star cluster constellation. Nemesis is, but it's also referred to as a deity, you know? I just break it down in metaphors. Nemesis is a Greek goddess who distributes or deals out retributive justice. So when we go into the Hebrew in the tree of life, it tells you that the divine feminine is the one, the author, the left pillar of the left side of the brain, the temple, the host, is where is a divine feminine, and that's where judgment comes from. So I'm not surprised to see it being referred to as a divine feminine in this metaphor, you know, vengeance and divine retribution as a result of disregarding another Greek goddess called Themis, Lady Justice, who was the mother of Prometheus and personification of divine order and law. Both Nemesis and Themis were worshipped by the Greeks in a temple called Ramnaus. The prefix Ram by the Greeks, by the word Ramnaus, comes from the Greek word Ramata. Now look how all these words sound similar. Mayat, mata, but let's keep going. Meaning words, utterance, or command. You see how when we use affirmation, say I am, we always command things into existence. You know? Believe it or not, your words or spells, like I said, they can be used in a good way or a bad way. It's speaking things into existence, putting letters into formation to create a word to get a point across. Nous is the Greek word Nous comes from the Greek word nous, meaning mind or intellect. The relationship between nous, mind, intellect, divine utterance, and mayat will be discussed in greater detail in chapter 4. The math of mayat, concepts that these Greek goddesses, Nemesis and Themis, represented, were taken and modeled after the African goddess Mayat. You see how it's calling them all goddess, but it's just telling you this is just a formation, a way that they were able to perceive nature by using these things, just the way we categorize things over here in America. We put them into their own category, own study, you know, to better understand what we're up against, or you know how to break things down. It's the same way that these things was done. So you know, all the things that we frown upon, you know, was taught was bad and wrong. These are the origins of them, and this is where the concepts that we have today come from. But this is the root source, you know. Once you see it in the real way it was portrayed to be, you know, you won't look at it as in a religious ideology or mind state. And you will actually get the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you're supposed to grow, you know, as a human being, you know. Tahuti was the African Egyptian deity of thought, knowledge, wisdoms, writing, sciences, mathematics. Tahuti is often depicted with the body of a man and the head of an ibis bird, or as a baboon, or in a more human-looking form as the Jasusti, whatever, however you pronounce that. Tahuti's wife was Mayat, okay? Tahuti's wife was Mayat. All right, right here. Now this is where it got interesting to me because you know how I got a video. I broke down the 42 letter Anabacoach prayer. Now I'm starting to see these numbers in every culture. So I'm seeing a consistency and pattern in all these esoteric, you know, understandings of knowledge, but let's keep going and let's make it make sense. Mayat was the Egyptian principle of truth, justice, order, balance, and divine wisdom. Mayat brought the universe into order from chaos at the beginning of creation. Mayat was the represented by an ostrich feather and was also personified as a goddess wearing a feather. So remember, if we were still in our original land masses, we would not have the ideology that we have over here in the West and the concept of religion. This is what we would know things to be, before they were tampered with by outside forces, by 6 ether beings, before they infiltrated the 9 ether beings. Let's put it that way. In the Bible, you would call them spiritual light Israelites, or you would call them heathens or Edomites, Everything has its opposing force, but let's get more into it. In the underworld called the Duat, Egyptian judgment of the dead in the halls of Mayat. Remember, Mayat means magic. It's just a collective of attributes to describe something. The heart is weighed against the feathers of Mayat on the scales of Mayat as the measure that determines if the soul adhered to the 42 laws of Mayat and would be able to cross over to the afterlife or the hereafter. This is where the religion gets the concept of judgment after death. The word here is phonetically similar to the word here. Therefore, hereafter is phonetically the same as hereafter. You're here and then the after. Makes sense. If the letters in hereafter are rearranged, you get heart feathers. I broke that down and did the math on that, and it came out to be true. The heart is weighed against the feathers of Mayat. So basically the balancing thing. Remember it said right here, Mayat is the Egyptian principle of truth, justice, order, balance, and divine wisdom, Every culture has their own way of finding these things, but if you go in every culture, you're going to see the same numbers, just like with the tree of life, the esoteric version of the Hebrewism. And remember, Israel is North East Africa. It's not the Middle East. And remember, the Israelites and Egyptians look exactly the same. Remember that they all were intertwined in the same landmass as at one time. And they all took knowledge from each other. So it's not far-fetched, Abraham even had a concubine, Egyptian, not Egyptian wife, because Sarah was his wife, but his concubine was an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar, and they had a son named Ishmael before Isaac, was given as a blessing to Sarah later on in her life. So even with King Solomon and Queen of Sheba of Ethiopia. See it all, and remember the original name for Africa, it wasn't always called Africa. It was originally called Ethiopia, Ether people of the sun. And then before that it was called the Nuapians, Nuabu, and that also consists with the sun. A lot of the names over there now, like Sudan, Nigeria, land of the burnt faces, like you gotta realize it's talking all about melanin, and it's always still going back to 9 ether bands, like they say, the devil, which is not a person or thing, an entity with horns living in the ground. The devil is an energy of the evil inclination that works as a collective in people, places, and things, that job is to divide and conquer, kill, steal, and destroy. They come up with these ideologies. They take things that are in balance and they make them unbalanced, things that are stable and make them unstable. History just means his story. That is his story. These people's story. But you have people that kill, steal, and destroy, and they steal his story and they make it into their own. That's where you get these religious concepts that you have today. Because once you look at those stories are already written in other cultures before these books were even thought of. When they canonized and took all these texts, they took a piece from here, there, a little bit from everywhere and condensed them. You got to have a real spiritual open eye to see how these things were done. Mayat was the African Egyptian principle of truth, justice, order, balance, divine wisdom. Mayat was symbolized by a feather as well as personified as a goddess wearing a feather. Mayat was the wife of Tahuti. Mathematics, you see? The wife is just mathematics. Now, when you break it down, Mayat is the origin of the word numbers. Numbers, see, it's breaking down all mathematics to you, basically. Numbers from the foundation of mathematics and are used to determine order. Remember it said Mayat brought things into order from chaos? But look back over here. It says numbers form the foundation of mathematics and are used to determine the order in mathematics, logic, and reason determine the truth. Remember, I told you math comes from the Greek word mathema. It means to become aroused, awakened, to think, That's all magic is. It's just your mind being able to engineer, be a creator, because you were created from a creator to be a light and a reflection, so you can create things and you can become manifest here on this physical plane in existence and allow that God particle to shine in this existence, if that makes any sense. Psalms 82 say, ye are all gods and children of the Most High. Right before that, it said, the Most High judges him the congregation of the gods. Or you could say the Yads, because on the Sephiroths, on the Tree of Life, it breaks it down. And it breaks down each one of those attributes, Fikether, Chokma, Benai, Gedula, Jebra, Tiferet, Netzach, Had, Yad, Sad. That's what Yad is. The Yad Sad. Malkuth, which is the kingdom. Yad Sad. Yad is the God and you. Okay? Tahuti's female counterpart was the Egyptian goddess. See, these are all analogies. Seshhat. Seshhat, whose name meant she who scribes, was the Egyptian goddess of wisdom, knowledge, writing, and architecture, astronomy, astrology, buildings, mathematics, and surveying. Seshhat bore the title of enumerator and lady of the builders. Seshhat was depicted as a woman with a papyrus plant representing writing, since the Egyptians made paper out of papyrus plant. Above her head was a pair of inverted cow's horns formed to indicate the inverted crescent moon. Even the Nation of Islam, they all got this crescent moon on their hat. Some of the Moorish people, from the Moorish science, Moor meaning black as well. Shahat was depicted writing on a notched palm stem, representing counting the passage of time, and dressed in a leopard skin representing the stars and symbols of eternity. To wear a leopard skin in ancient Africa indicated that relationship to the builders and the craftsmen and the ability to practice heka, magic, or engineering. Remember, they told you, Jesus, Yeshua, Yahweh Shai, he that is salvation, he was a carpenter as well. But I'm telling you, all of these metaphors, if your spiritual eye is open, meaning your pineal gland, where God resides, you will see all these things because it's all in a pattern. And these patterns are just numbers, which is mathematics. And once you follow these patterns, you can better understand the nature of things. The anachokma of the Yahe Vahe. Anachokma, mother wisdom, a divine feminine. It's an aspect, it's a particle. Remember I did the seven principles, hermetic principles, and it says the laws of gender. And it's telling you about this duality that resides in all of us, you know? Seka was considered a magician, engineer, and her symbol represented the source of intuition and creative ideas. Now look how that all goes on. Heka, magic, engineering, magic, engineering, magician, engineer, builders, enumerator, numbers, mathematics, mathema, thoughts, think, activate. It's basically, this is doing is breaking down knowledge itself. But a lot of people can't get past that state of low vibratory ignorance that they can't even see this, you know? A lot of people are not even going to go into this to read this because they were just taught, like, this your enemy. But this is history. This is history that they're never going to teach you about, you know? Hold on. Now let's get to this next page, right? I'm going to find a way to shorten these videos but put massive information. Even if I got to go through it, write it down, categorize it, find the other information that, you know, is consistent with it in the other cultures. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find all the information that is consistent, all the way down to the numbers, all the way down to the names, to the translations of the names, and I'm going to put them all in perspective for every person that is following me, so you cannot say that you cannot see this, you know, in a spiritual light. Because the only thing that's stopping you from seeing this is ignorance, you know, shunning upon something, not having an open mind. Like I said before, be attached to nothing, but be open to everything. That's how all the top priests and scribes, they went through every culture. There's even stories about the Messiah that he went through every culture and learned a bit of everybody's knowledge to reach those 33 degrees of the vertebrae and come to his highest self. The whole concept of Yeshua, the salvation, that's why the Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling to reach your Christ consciousness in yourself. All the 72 hours rising in 3 days, that 7 and 2 just goes back to 9. 9 is the 9 ether. 9 ether is the energy state of the soul and the spirit. Those gases, the plasma that's in the DNA. That plasma is made up of ionized gases. Those gases are in the ether, are in the air as well. So when you take that last breath, you ascend. You go back through these planes, but just in the energy state. You can move to and fro, and you can move faster than you can actually in this physical body, and you can be on multiple realms of existence, you know? Instead of being recycled, you know, reincarnated, you know, you ascend to your final plane, if that makes any sense. Salah? Whereas Tahuti represented theoretical and esoteric. Remember, esoteric means inner essence, you know, eternal, you know, inward, your inward. So it's talking about all inward attributes that every human being with this essence has. Every spiritual light, Israelite, you know, melanated Moor, whatever you want to call it, you know. Everybody gave you all these divisions to divide and conquer, you know. But it's bigger than that. This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. You feel me? Hold up. Mathematics and scientific principles, Seshat, if I'm saying that right, you know, just a word. And you know, if you've seen, these words can be turned around and made into other spells, and they all can come out to mean, all these words, every culture's language came from another culture's language, and all they did was switch a couple words up. Just like if you look at the Latin and English, you can tell what certain Latin words are because they sound similar and consistent with the angel. But English is the most brokenish language because it took a piece of everybody else's language. Some of the English words are still consistent with Greek words, you know, and other words in the different cultures. They sound still the same as what they are. They didn't really do much change. You know, they'll switch a letter up here and there, rearrange something, and so on and so on. You know, most of my spiritual lights that's woke, they already know this, but I'm just saying this for the new people that are waking up, you know. Applicable and operative mathematics and scientific principles, Tahuti represents mathematics theories. Seshat represents, see, they all one and the same of an ideology, mathematics and practice. So one is the thought process, you know, the esoteric inwards, and Seshat represents mathematics, those thoughts in practice, meaning materialize on the physical plane. The Egyptian principle of Seshat was present when the surveying of architectural designs of the Egyptian pyramids and temples was being done to align with the certain celestial bodies, as above, so below, in the cosmos. Since Mayat established the mathematics, the thought, the inner essence within itself, established the order of the cosmos. And they say that your thoughts are the universe. You think it into existence, you speak it into existence, and it will be. Just like your creator did with you. It was the responsibility of Seshat to reflect Mayat Mayat when designing buildings to align with the cosmos. The deities Mayat, Tahuti, Seshat represented a triad of concepts. See? All they are is just concepts. They're not actual entities that people are worshiping. They are concepts that are within you to help you better understand nature, understand nature, overstand nature. Salah, related to mathematics, science, and engineering. Just like the tree of life with the Sephiroth. It's just helping you understand your nature, your inner essence, the energy fields within you, how you operate, how God becomes manifest in you, how the angels are angels and the entities are energies, but they all confide and reside in you, that were acknowledged and used by ancient Africans to develop and build the many structures along the Nile River. The Nile River is used as a metaphor as well because it's talking about your spine going up to your pineal gland. That's why they say in every culture or religious artifact, they all had this great river. Just like in the Bible, it had the Jordan, you know, the Nile. But this is all, you know, could be used as metaphors. Most of them are metaphors, you know. Some of them are actual geographical locations. But what they've done was align nature to themselves, you know, as above, so below. Just like they built these architectural structures with mathematics and aligned them with the cosmos. As above, so below. Salah. All right, now let's get some more over here into this. Matter of fact, I'm going to just leave it at that. We can go on to another lesson. But, yeah, that's just to show you, you know. You got to have multiple books, you know. Nine Ether, this is basically just talking about the ethers, the energies in you, your genetic makeups, that atom and beginning of creation, the breath of life. It breaks it all down in here, and it gives biblical references and references out of the Quran and multiple other spiritual texts and where they all got these concepts from. Over here, you got this book that will break down the ley lines and energy fields and spiritual sites all around the world, and, you know, how everything is basically connected, you know. And then over here, you have basically the mathematics. This is how these sites were connected and created using these methods. You know, this is the inner essence. This is the methods, the techniques, and this is the creation of when it's all said and done. Salah, so be it. Like, share, and subscribe. Deuces, I'm out. Y'all bless.